As we have discussed in the previous video, that is the Z effective and sigma, that is effective nuclear charge and the screening constant and the factor affecting Z effective and sigma. Now the next part is how to calculate the Z effective. To calculate the Z effective, we have to know the value of these two terms Z and sigma. We already know the value of atomic number. Now the sigma or the screening constant is calculated by following the certain set of rules called the Slater's rule. Slater's rule provides some theoretical value to these orbitals so that we can calculate the value of sigma, that is electrons in the orbitals. It can be s or p orbitals and d or f orbitals. Now the contribution per electron in the orbitals is present, that is the electron may be present in n shell or n minus 1 shell or n minus 2 or n minus 3. N refers to the valence shell, that is the ultimate shell, and the n minus 1 refers to the penultimate shell, and n minus 2 refers to the anti-penultimate shell, that is it is the valence shell, it is the previous the valence shell, and it is previous the penultimate shell. Now if I have to calculate the Z effective, that is the effective nuclear charge that is experienced by the electron that may be present in s or p orbitals, I have to follow these set of rules. That is, if I have to calculate the Z effective for s or p orbital, the n shell or the valence shell electrons will contribute 0.35 value to the sigma, and the penultimate shell electrons will contribute 0.85, and the anti-penultimate and that is the n minus 2, n minus 3 and so on will contribute 1. Similarly, for to calculate the Z effective, that is the Z effective of the electron present in d or f orbital, that will contribute 0.35 by the n shell or the valence shell, and the remaining n minus 1, 2, n minus 2 and n minus 3 will contribute around 1. So before proceeding to calculate the value of Z effective, the first thing we have to do is grouping the orbitals as follows. The 1s is grouped as separately, 2s 2p, 3s 3p, 3d, 4s 4p, 4d and 4f, and as follows. See, we can see here the 1s is separated out, 2s 2p, 3s 3p, that is s and p orbitals are coupled, and d and d and f orbitals are separated out. Let us briefly understand once more through the diagram. Through the diagram, we can see that it contains a positive charge nucleus at the center, and it is surrounded by different orbitals. The outermost orbital is named as n, which is also known as ultimate shell or the valence shell. Now the next inner orbital is named as n minus 1, which is the penultimate, and the further innermost is n minus 2, which is anti-penultimate. Now we know that according to the Slater's rule, the sigma values contributed by s and p orbitals, the n orbital which will contribute around 0.35, n minus 1 would contribute 0.85, and the n minus 2 and n minus 3 and so on would contribute around 1.0. Similarly, the d and f orbital for the n shell, they contribute around 0.35. For the n minus 1 and n minus 2, n minus 1 and n minus 2 so on would contribute around 1.0. Now this is the brief explanation of Slater's rule. Now we will understand further by solving some of the problems related to Slater's rule. Calculate the Z effective, that is the effective nuclear charge of helium. We know that the Z, the atomic number of helium is 2. Then the electronic configuration would be 1s2. Now the effective nuclear charge experienced by this electron, that is the nucleus contains 2 electrons. We have to calculate the effective nuclear charge experienced by one of the electron. Hence only one electron contribute in shielding. Therefore the sigma value of sigma equals 1 into 0.30. 0.30 is the value of contribution of this electron. Hence Z effective would become Z minus sigma, where value of Z is 2 and sigma is 1 into 0.30, that is sigma would become 0.30. 2 minus 0.30, it would become 1.70 is the Z effective of helium. Here the sigma value, that is the contribution of S electron is 0.30. Just remember one thing, that is note electron contribution by 1s orbital is 0.30. If it contains only 1s orbital, the electron contribution by 1s electron is 0.30. Let's consider another example, that is Z effective for carbon. We know that the atomic number of carbon is 6 and the electron configuration is 1s2, 2s2 and 2p2. The first and the foremost thing that we have to do is the grouping the orbitals, that is 1s is separated out, 2s2 and 2p2 is separated out. Now we have to calculate the effective nuclear charge experienced by the valence electron. So one electron is left out and 2 electron from this s orbital. Therefore the n shell would have 2 plus 1 3 electrons and the n minus 1 shell would have 2 electrons. Therefore the sigma would be for the n shell, that is there are 3 electrons, 3 into 0.35 for n shell. Now n minus 1 contains 2 electron, that is 2 into the n minus 1 shell for s and p orbital, it would contribute 0.85. Now the sigma value would become 2.75, and as I have calculated earlier, now Z effective would be Z minus sigma, where value of Z is 6 minus 2.75 is the sigma value. Then Z effective would become around 3.25. Let us consider example of a d orbital. That is, now the Z effective for iron, the Z value, the atomic number of Z is 26. Then the electronic configuration of iron is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, then comes 4s2 and 3d6. The first thing we have to do is grouping the orbitals, that is 1s separated, 2s 2p, 3s 3p separated, 3d 6 and 4s2. We have to calculate the Z effective experienced by the d electron. Hence the d electron, valence electron contains 6 electrons, hence 5 electrons involved in shielding in the d orbital. And whenever we are calculating the z effective of d orbital, then the outermost orbital do not contribute anything in the z effective value. Therefore, this is the n shell which contains 5 electron. This is the n minus 1, n minus 2 and n minus 3. This contains 2 electron. This contains 6 plus 2, 8. This contains 6 plus 2, 8. Now the sigma value would become, the n shell would contribute 0.35. According to D and F, we are calculating the Z effective of the electron that is present in D. Hence, it is 0.35 into number of electrons in the n shell is 5. According to D and F, the rule we know that the n minus 2, n minus 1, n minus 2 and n minus 3 would have the value 1, and total number of electrons are 8 plus 8, 16 plus 2, it's 18. Now the sigma turns out to be, the sigma value turns out to be, it's 19.75 as I have already calculated. Now Z effective equals Z minus sigma, where Z, the value of Z is 26 minus 19.75. Therefore, the Z effective would be 6.25. This is the value of Z effective experienced by the 3D electron. So this is a question that is related to Z effective. Which of the following atoms or ions that has the largest Z effective? K, that is potassium, potassium ion, chlorine and chloride ion, Cl and Cl minus ion. So to solve it, we must know some basic thing about the periodicity of elements. That is, if we move along the period, that is, if we move along the period, the Z effective value always increases. If we move down the group, the Z effective value decreases, because when we move along the period, consider the boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, the electron is being added to the same shell. But if we move down the group, that is, if we consider the boron family, the boron, aluminum, gallium, the electron is being added to the new shell. That is, if P1, 3p1 and 4p1, that is, the electron is being added to the new p shell. Hence, as the new shell are added, the distance r, as we have discussed, the distance between the positive charge and the electron, distance r increases. Hence, the Z effective value decreases. Now coming back to the question, let's consider potassium, whose Z value is 19, and chlorine, whose Z value is 17. Electronic configuration of potassium is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, then comes 4s1. Let me group these orbitals. Now the electronic configuration of chlorine is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2 and 3p5. So there is an excess electron that is in the next shell, that is there is an extra shell in this potassium, hence the Z effective of potassium is less than Z effective of chlorine, because the electron is being added to the 4s shell, that is the new shell. Hence the distance between the nucleus and the electron increases, hence the Z effective value of potassium is less than Z effective of chlorine. Now consider K plus ion, where the plus indicates the oxidation or the removal of electron. Now the removal of one electron is taking place at 4s subshell, hence the extra shell is getting removed, hence the effective nuclear charge of K plus ion increases, hence we can say it as Z effective of K plus is greater than Z effective of potassium. The K plus ions have the greater Z effective than potassium. Now let us consider the chloride ion, the Cl minus ion, where the negative charge or the minus indicates the reduction. Reduction is nothing but addition of electron. The addition of electron is taking place to the same shell. As we have discussed, if the electron is being added to the same shell, the Z effective or the effective nuclear charge between the nucleus and the electron increases. Hence, we can say it as Z effective of chloride Cl minus is greater than chlorine. From this, we can say it as the potassium has the least Z effective than chlorine. But what about the K plus and Cl minus? Let's consider the K plus and Cl minus. That is, let's consider K plus, where if the potassium has the Z value 19, then the K plus would have one electron less, that is there is a oxidation of one electron, therefore it has 18 electron. The Z value is 18. If I read the electronic configuration, it would be 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2 and 3p6. This is the electronic configuration of K plus ion. Now Cl minus ion, where the Z value of chlorine is 17, as minus indicate reduction or addition of electron. So the Z value of Cl minus would be 17 plus 1, which is 18. So the electronic configuration of Cl minus and K plus is same, because they both have the same Z value, that is 18 electron. They both have same number of electrons, hence they are called as isoelectronic species. But the Z effective value mainly depend on the total number of electron, that is Z. But here both the K plus and Cl minus have the same number of electrons. But in this case, in the case of isoelectronic species, the main thing that comes to picture is, one is the number of electron present, Here both the species have same number of electrons. Now the number of protons present. As we know, the Z value of potassium is 19. The Z value of potassium is 19, whereas the Z value of chlorine is 17. Here we are just removing one electron and adding one electron in K plus and Cl minus. But the total number of protons in the K plus is 19, whereas the total number of protons in the Cl minus is 17. Hence, number of protons, that is number of protons in K plus is greater than Cl minus, which indicate the positive charge is greater in potassium K plus ion than Cl minus ion. Hence, the effective nuclear charge, that is the nuclear force of attraction between the nucleus and the electron, is more observed in K plus than Cl minus. Hence, the Z effective value of K plus is greater than Z effective for chlorine, because the total number of protons in K plus is greater than Cl minus. Hence, the positive charge of the nucleus increases. If we have to write the decreasing order of Z effective, we can write it as K plus greater than Cl minus, then comes chlorine, then comes the potassium. This is the increasing order of Z effective in these atoms and ions. So that's it. Thank you.